My neighbor Patricia knocked on my door with a pale face. She had a newspaper in her hand and tears in her eyes. "Margaret, I need to tell you something, but I don't know how to say it." When I opened the newspaper in my hand, I found myself on the obituaries page. Under my photo, Margaret Anderson, 68, funeral today at 2 p.m., Riverside Cemetery. At that moment I understood everything. My name is Margaret Anderson. I'm 68 years old, and until this morning I thought I was just an ordinary mother and grandmother. I sacrificed everything for my only daughter Jessica and my son-in-law David, whom I raised with love for 45 years. When my husband Robert passed away 5 years ago, I was left alone in our beautiful home in the Oakwood neighborhood. A 3-story house with a garden and a city view. The most precious inheritance Robert left me. Jessica used to come every weekend, or so I thought. In recent months her visits had become less frequent. "Mom, I'm very busy. David's company is growing, you understand," she would always say. And I understood, of course. Young people have their lives, they're busy. But there was always a small ache inside me. I would ignore that ache. When I looked at the newspaper that Patricia handed me with trembling hands, that ache turned into a huge wound. "Margaret, how is this possible?" said Patricia, unable to hold back her tears. "You had tea with me last night. You watered the roses in the garden. How—" "Patricia," I said, my voice surprisingly calm, "come inside, let me make you some tea." But inside I was burning. My hands were trembling. I put the newspaper on the table and looked at that obituary page again and again. The photo there was definitely me. It was taken at Jessica's birthday party 2 years ago. I was wearing my favorite blue blouse that day. Patricia sat at the kitchen table, still in shock. I mechanically put water in the kettle. My mind was working at lightning speed. Who placed this obituary? Jessica. David. Why? When? As I handed Patricia her tea, she asked, "Didn't anyone call you for the funeral, for condolences?" I looked at my phone. I had 3 missed calls, all from numbers I didn't know. Probably acquaintances, neighbors who read the newspaper, but there were no calls from Jessica or David. "Patricia," I said slowly, "don't tell anyone about this, please." "But Margaret, please," I repeated, looking into her eyes. "Trust me, I'll handle this." Patricia nodded, confused. "As you wish, but I don't understand. This is a crime. You should go to the police." "I will," I said, "but first I need to learn the truth," I thought. After Patricia left, I sat in my living room armchair. The newspaper was still in my hand. I read the obituary again, every word, every letter. Our beloved mother Margaret Anderson, age 68, has passed away. Her funeral will be held today at 2 p.m. at Riverside Cemetery. Family: daughter Jessica Anderson Miller and son-in-law David Miller. It was 9:30 a.m. The funeral was at 2 p.m. I had 4.5 hours. I picked up my phone and called Jessica. It rang and rang and rang. She didn't answer. I sent a message, "Jessica, I'm calling you, something important." Then I called David. He didn't answer either. That's when I understood. This wasn't a coincidence. This was planned. But why? Why would someone declare their mother dead? The answer was actually very clear. The house. This house, currently worth 5 million lira, with a sea view, one of the rare properties in Oakwood's most valuable neighborhood. When Robert died, he left the house to me in his will. It was also written for Jessica to inherit when her mother passes away. If I was dead, the house was Jessica's, and Jessica could sell it. I got up and went to my bedroom. I opened the drawers of Robert's old desk. I found all the documents, deed, will, bank account information. I took everything and put it in a large bag. Then I took out my most elegant black dress from the closet, a black headscarf, black glasses, black gloves. I looked in the mirror. I had become unrecognizable. It was 10 a.m., time to go to the real estate agent. Oakwood's largest real estate office was on the corner of the street. When I entered, a young woman got up from her desk and smiled at me. "Welcome. How can I help you?" "I'm interested in houses on Riverside Avenue," I said, "especially number 47. The woman's face changed. A slight surprise, then a professional smile. "Ah, number 47. That house is not currently for sale." "Not for sale?" I asked with an innocent expression. "But I was told it was." The woman shifted uncomfortably. "Actually, I'm not exactly authorized to explain this. You need to speak with the boss, Mr. Mitchell. Can you call him?" A few minutes later, a man in his 50s in a suit came out of the office. "I'm George Mitchell. How can I help you?" I want information about 47 Riverside Avenue. Mitchell hesitated. That house is in a complicated situation right now. The owner passed away in recent days. The heirs haven't completed the official procedures yet. I see, I said. Did the heirs contact you? Mitchell looked at me suspiciously. Ma'am, why are you asking these questions? Because, I said, taking off my glasses, I'm the owner of that house, and I'm not dead. Mitchell's face turned white as chalk. Are you Margaret Anderson? Yes. But in the newspaper, there's a false obituary in the newspaper, I said in a cold voice, and I need to know who contacted you. Mitchell backed away, grabbed the phone. I need to call my lawyer. You don't need to call, I said. Just tell me who came, when they came. Mitchell swallowed. Your daughter, Mrs. Jessica, 3 days ago. She said that her mother had a serious illness, that she would pass away soon, and that they wanted to sell the house quickly when she passed. She asked us to do a preliminary evaluation. What did you say? We said we could sell the house for 4.8 million lira. Mrs. Jessica was very pleased. 4.8 million lira. A sufficient reason for my daughter to declare me dead. Is there anything else? I asked. Mitchell hesitated. Mrs. Jessica, my daughter to declare me dead. Is there anything else? I asked. Mitchell hesitated. Jessica asked one more thing. She asked how long it would take for her mother's your death certificate to be issued, and whether we could start the sale within a week. My heart burned. My daughter had not only declared me dead, but was planning to sell the house before my body was even cold. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, I said, and my request is this: don't tell anyone about this conversation, especially not Jessica, but you should know that the funeral notice— I know, I said, I'll handle it. When I left the real estate office, it was 11 a.m. I had 3 hours. My next stop was the notary. Notary Ahmet, who had prepared Robert's will, was a friend I had known for years. When I entered his office, he stood up in shock. Margaret, I'm not dead, Ahmet, I said, but someone declared me dead. Ahmet took a deep breath. Please sit. This is very serious. I told him everything. The newspaper obituary, the real estate agent, Jessica's plans. Ahmet shook his head. Unfortunately, these types of cases are increasing. Children who declare their elderly parents dead to seize their property. What should I do? First, you should go to the police. This is fraud. Second, you should change your will. I don't want to change it, I said, but I want to add something. What? A clause. If Jessica declares me dead during my lifetime or attempts any fraud against me, she will be completely disinherited, and all my assets will be donated to an elderly care home. Ahmet smiled. Very wise. Let's prepare it immediately. Within half an hour, the new will was ready. I signed it. Ahmet notarized it. One more thing, I said. Will you come to my funeral? Ahmet was surprised. Funeral? Yes. At 2 to pain to Mjolnirten you come at own funeral. Ahmet laughed. Magnificent. I'll definitely come. It was 12 p.m. I went home. I adjusted my black dress. I put on my veil. I looked in the mirror. I looked like a widow going to a funeral. Patricia knocked on my door again. Margaret, people are coming to call you after seeing the newspaper. What should I say? Tell them that Margaret has passed away. The funeral is at 2 p.m. Patricia's mouth fell open. But, trust me, Patricia, I'll explain everything tonight. At 1:30 p.m., I left the house. I took a taxi to the cemetery. The driver was chatty. Ma'am, who passed away? May God rest their soul. An acquaintance, I said, trying to cut it short. When I arrived at the cemetery, it was 1:50 p.m. A few people had gathered at the entrance. Most were people I didn't know. I saw Patricia, her eyes searching for me, but she couldn't recognize me with my veil. Then I saw them, Jessica and David. Jessica was wearing a black dress. There was an artificial expression of sadness on her face. She was thanking people who came, hugging them, saying these are very difficult days. David was beside her, in a suit, busy with his cell phone. He looked more like someone who came to a business meeting than a funeral. I approached. I blended into the crowd. No one paid attention to me. Then the imam came. A small funeral prayer was performed. There was no coffin, of course, because there was no body. This was just a ceremonial event. The imam recited prayers. Jessica shed tears. David consoled her. And just as everyone was about to disperse, I stepped forward. I opened my veil. I took off my glasses. I lowered my headscarf. Good morning, Jessica, I said loudly. Everyone turned. The first reaction was shock. Then whispers began. Isn't that her? Isn't that Margaret? But how? Jessica froze.
Her face turned white as chalk. David's phone fell from his hand. "Mom," Jessica stammered. "Yes, my daughter," I said in a calm voice. "Your mother, your living mother." The crowd fell silent. Everyone was watching us. I don't understand," said Jessica, trying to recover. "What don't you understand, Jessica?" I asked, raising my voice. "That you declared me dead, that you went to the real estate agent to try to sell my house, or that you organized my funeral and played the grieving daughter role." The whispers intensified. People were looking at each other in shock. David stepped forward. "Mother-in-law, there must be a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding, David?" I laughed. "This morning I read the newspaper. I saw my own death notice. Then I went to the real estate agent. Mr. Mitchell told me everything. That Jessica came 3 days ago and said my mother is dying. That you wanted to sell the house for 4.8 million lira." Jessica's legs trembled. "Mom, you're misunderstanding." "What am I misunderstanding?" I shouted. "Am I misunderstanding enough to attend my own funeral?" The imam stepped forward. "Ma'am, this is a very serious situation. If you are Margaret Anderson, and you're alive, this obituary is fraud." "I certainly am," I said, "and I'm certainly alive." Just then, Notary Ahmet appeared. 2 police officers were with him. "Margaret," said Ahmet, "I came as I promised, and I reported the situation to the police." One of the officers turned to Jessica. "Are you Jessica Anderson Miller?" Jessica couldn't say anything. She just nodded. "Declaring a living person dead is a crime of fraud and false documentation. You need to come with us." "No," Jessica screamed. "This is a mistake. I just wanted to show your mother is dead and steal her house." Jessica started crying. These were real tears this time. "Mom, please, we have debts. David's business is failing. We desperately needed the money. And you couldn't wait for my death." I asked, my heart breaking. "At least you could have said, 'Mom, I need help.'" I knew you wouldn't give it," Jessica sobbed. "You always said this house is your future. You always said after me. We couldn't wait. You couldn't wait," I repeated. "It was easier to declare me dead." David shouted angrily. "This is a trap. You set us up." "A trap?" I laughed bitterly. "You set yourselves up. I just revealed the truth." As the police took Jessica and David away, the crowd dispersed. Everyone walked away whispering. Tomorrow the whole neighborhood would be talking about this story. Patricia came to me, tears in her eyes. "Margaret, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that your daughter—" "I'm sorry too, Patricia," I said. "But sometimes our children don't turn out the way we want them to." When I returned home, I was alone. But this time I felt a different kind of loneliness. I had lost my daughter perhaps, but I had gained my dignity. The next day, Notary Ahmet called. "Margaret, Jessica and David were released, but the court process has started. They'll be tried for fraud. What will happen now? They'll probably get a fine, maybe even prison. But most importantly, they no longer have any rights over you." 2 weeks later, the trial began. Jessica and David's lawyer made the defense that circumstances forced them. They had debts. They couldn't find another way. My lawyer presented the newspaper obituary, the real estate agent's statement, everything. When the judge gave the verdict, Jessica was crying. The defendants Jessica Anderson Miller and David Miller are sentenced to 2 years in prison and a fine of 500,000 lira for declaring a living person dead, attempted fraud, and false documentation. They are also deprived of all rights over Margaret Anderson's assets. As I left the courthouse, Jessica approached me. "Mom, please, forgive me." I looked at her. There was perhaps real regret in her eyes. But it was too late. "Jessica," I said in a soft voice, "I can forgive you, but you will never gain my trust again. When you declared me dead, the mother-daughter bond between us died." "Mom, please, you need to go," I said. "Serve your sentence, fix your life, but without me." That day, I saw my daughter for the last time. 6 months later, I sold my house. Following Ahmet's advice, I donated most of the sale price to the Elderly Friends Foundation. We established a home where elderly people, abandoned and defrauded by their children, could stay. I moved to a small apartment. I had enough money to live comfortably, but most importantly, I had peace. Patricia visits me every day. We drink tea together, look at the flowers in the garden. One day she asked me, "Margaret, have you ever regretted it? I mean, not forgiving your daughter?" I thought, no. I said, "Forgiving and forgetting are different things. I forgave Jessica, but I can't forget, and I can't trust her again. Some wounds don't heal, Patricia. Don't you ever miss having a grandchild?" I heard Jessica had a daughter. I swallowed. I heard they named her Emily. But maybe Emily will learn from her mother's mistake. Maybe when she looks at her mother, she'll say, "I'll never be like this." And one day, maybe Emily will find me. That night, before going to bed, I looked at Robert's photo. "You didn't leave me alone, my love," I told him. The most important thing you taught me was how to take care of myself. Honor, respect, courage. I forgot them for a while, but the day I went to my own funeral, I remembered everything. I turned off the lights, but this time I wasn't afraid of the dark, because now I knew, sometimes you have to fight, sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, no matter how old you are. And most importantly, never ever stay silent about injustice done to you, because I was declared dead, but I came back to life, and this time, I'm living by my own rules. I'm sharing this story because I know there are thousands of elderly people out there suffering silently like me. I'm calling out to you, defend yourselves, seek your rights. Old age is not weakness, it's experience. And I'm calling out to you, children. Your parents sacrificed everything for you. Don't see them as property. They are not money, they are love. Remember, respect comes before love, and trust once lost never comes back.